Hi chums, right, I have to make a wedding ring. This has been an ongoing project for some time. I've made about 5 or 6 variations on rings, sent them to the guy who wants the ring. He liked one in particular, which was this one here. Now this is walnut. Now as you can see the grain, the end grain and side grain intermittently there, one on one side and one on the other. You know, you've got end grain this side and side grain this side, and then it swaps over. The reason for that is because a wooden ring would be very, very weak. If I made the ring just out of wood like that, with just one single piece of wood, you're going to get a very weak point. Where's the end grain? There's the end. Your weak point is going to be here and here on each side, because that's where the grain's very, very short. On the long grain here, you've got long grain kind of going right round almost, so it's quite strong. So to get over that problem, what I did was I took my this walnut that I sliced very thin on the table saw, and I've got my 2 pieces of walnut, and there's the grain direction been shown with the pencil mark, and you can actually see it. So we've got the long grain running left to right. So what I did was then I laminated these this way, so that the grain was going left to right and up and down. So now I have long grain going up, across, down, and across again. So it gives me a long grain going right the whole way around the ring. Now I did there's what the blanks look like there, glued together, but I did some triple blanks in case you wanted a really thick ring, and those are actually stronger again, but the ring they're too thick for the ring he wants. So we're going back to these ones here. Now I have about 6 chances at this. I've got 6 blanks ready to go there, but as you can see, I have a whole tray full of blanks ready, just in case. This is the problem. You make a ring and you think, well, it's not hardly going to be any work in that, or any wood in that. But I've gone through 2 really big pieces of walnut to try and get the exact wood I need for the ring. So you go through a lot of wood looking for the particular bits you need, and there's a lot of pieces here, like there's pieces like that which are scrap. That piece there is scrap because I don't like the way the grain's running across here, you know. So you have to go through and pick the ones you want. So there's a lot of waste in making something this small, you know. Now, the gentleman who wants this, we made a suggestion that he could get it. He wants to wear it all the time. Now, he wanted it for dress occasions, but when he saw it, he liked it, and he wants to wear the ring all the time, or well, as more often, put it that way, not be wearing it at work. But so we said we could put a silver band inside the ring. So there's a silver band for inside the ring. Now obviously those don't fit because that has to go inside, so I have to make another ring. So I'll be doing this, I'll be drilling out and making this fit in here. Now this came from a silversmith, and she'd phoned me up, or she'd emailed me and said, Brenton, there's a taper on that. It was made for a size Y, and then the gentleman wanted a slightly bigger, so I went to a Y1/2. Now these rings are formed on a mandrel, and the mandrel's got a taper. So there's a taper on the inside and outside of this because it was on a tapered mandrel. But when I used it, I used the vernier on it, and there's not very much in it. The external diameter is, on one end of it is 23.52 mil, and the other end is 23.46. There's only 6/100th of a millimeter, which is just slightly more than 1/10 of a millimeter. So there's nothing in it. But I will still when I'm fitting this, I can make the ring fit. So when I'm making this hole for this to go into, I can taper that hole, so this will slide in real nice. And I've got this tail on it. That's the tail to let me know that this goes in last. And I've got little dots on this front part in case the tail comes off, and it gives me something to grab as well. But in case it comes off, I've got my front marked, because it's very hard. It took me about I've been out sitting here nearly half an hour measuring this, because it's not completely concentric. There's a millimeter here and a millimeter there. It's only a 100th of a millimeter here and there. So we have to try and find the average in the whole way around, you know. So that's why it took so long to do it, because it's been expanded more. It's not completely concentric, but it feels completely concentric, and it looks completely concentric, but it's not. It's slightly out, but your naked eye and your finger can't feel it. So as I say, there's 100th of a millimeter in it. So that's a very good tolerance, you know. So this has to be done right. So rather than just stick it in and hope for the best, I've got this taper set. So now the taper's going in this direction. It's going towards that way. So this will go in first into the hole that I drill, and then we'll snug this in. And once we get it made, we'll get the taper made, and then I'll put that onto a tapered mandrel that I'll make, and that'll hold the ring square on the lathe, and then I can do the outside. So that's the first bit done. We've got the ring measured, we've got the taper identified, and we know what way direction we're going. So the next bit will be setting up for drilling. Okay, so I'm going to stop and make a lot of little videos and then try and stitch them together. Okay, all the best now. Bye bye. Oh, I'm not going to do that in every video because it'll just get boring. Right, bye. Right, I've got a piece of waste in here, and if you look in closely there, you can see in back, you can see another piece at the back. That's because I don't want breakout when I go through this piece, so I'm practicing my cut here, and I'm going to put a piece of waste at the back so that this forstner bit goes through, it doesn't rip the whole back out of the blank. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing a cut with a 22.5mm forstner bit. I need 23.5 or thereabouts, or 23.6 nearly. So I'm going to give me half mil on each side, but before I cut one of my ring blanks, I'm going to cut one of these to make sure my ring actually fits. I'm not going to show you the actual ring being cut because there's too much stress in that, but as I do each part, I'll show you what I'm going to do, and I'll be doing the next thing with the ring. Okay, so we're going to cut this hole here. If you're using variable speed in the lathe, always turn your lathe down to nothing when you finish with it the night before, because if you turn it on and you've maybe got a big blank sitting here, you're putting a lot of stress in your engine trying to get it to ramp up. So turn it down low and then just wind it up in the morning and bring it up to a nice speed. So that's about 400 to 500 there. Alright, so we're locked down. We are, yeah, we're locked down. So we'll just go in here and drill this out. It's nice and gentle. There's no need to get into a big fuss or hurry about it, you know. We're through the first one and we're going through the second one now, which will keep the first one nice and clean, you know. That should be that's through both of them now. So I'll show you what these look like when they come out then, to let you see the why it's worth putting the waste block in the back there. Right, so the next thing I need to do is this hole needs to be smaller than what I need, because if it's too big I need to get another forstner bit. So there's the front end of the taper, and it will not fit in that hole. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. Now what I'll do now is I'll take a skew and I'll very gently cut a taper in this ring, and I'll practice on this to get my size right. But I want to show you why I put that. I'll do another one because it's going to be ruined when I take this out. I'll put another one in here, but I'll show you why I put that backer on there. Okay, well, actually see the way the back of it is all broken out. Whoops, all broken out there. See it better there. Where are we at? Down here. Well, look, there's the back of the one that I cut. See? Perfect. So if you're cutting through something that's precious, like the ring, or very valuable, put a backer on it, and that'll take all the cut out, the break out for you, and it'll leave your other one nice and clean. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll remount this, and I'll just play with it until I get the right size, and then I'll bring you back whenever I've just finished the ring. Okay. Stop this. Right, so now I had to drill another one of these out because I couldn't get the other one lined up properly. I also discovered that the jaws of the chuck actually come in behind this, and they just appear here, right, and here and here and here. So actually I would work it. I'm going to end up hitting the jaws with the tools, so I just left the backer in. So whenever I go to cut one of these blanks, I'll put a backer in behind it and leave it there. Maybe put two backers in, just to be sure I don't hit the jaws, you know. Right, so what the next thing was to get a taper on this. So what I did was I put spots in the front of that to let me know where the spots, that was the end I went into. So there's the thin end of the thing there, of the taper. And there's only 0.06 of a millimetre in this. So you put them together. That just slides in really nicely, as you can see. Nice and snug. And just to show you the taper, this is the fat end here, and as you can see, it just doesn't want to push in. There's it in now, but you're forcing it a bit. It just doesn't want to push in the same. It's rocking a bit. We put it back to the other side, it just slides in lovely. So now, I've never done this before, so now I know I can get a taper on the inside of the ring, and that it will be a nice snug fit. Okay, so the next thing is, we take this. This is the nicest blank of the ones I've got so far. These are the three nicest, and I think this is the nicest one of the three. So I'm going to use it first. I know we can get our size right. by sneaking up on the sides, and then I hand sanded up to this. Once I got it almost there, I took it off the lathe and hand sanded the rest, because it's really easy, which is a spotty side. Yeah, it's really easy to take too much off with a tool, so I hand sanded up to that fit there. So I'm happy with that. That's nice and snug. You don't want it too snug, because if it's too tight and the wood shrinks, it'll split. So it's just a nice squeeze fit, but snug squeeze fit, where it's not loose, but it's not real tight either. I'm not beating it in with a hammer like you would do with a bearing or something, you know. So next stage drilling on the ring here.
Proper one. So
this is going to be the inside of the ring, obviously, and on the ring there are two tiny little score lines, just about 1 millimeter in there. Sorry, I'm touching the camera. And 1 millimeter in there. Now you can't see them, but I can. So I've set my calipers to be the width I need for the wood. The reason for this is because the silversmith has to bend these rims up to hold the wood in position. So she'll hammer these up into position and then buff them off and all the rest, whatever she does. So I have to keep the wood about 1.5 millimeters thinner on each side to allow her to have something to actually move up, so she can hold the wood in position, because we're scared that this will we don't want to glue the wood on completely, because we're scared of it moving. So she's going to put the wood in such a way that she'll allow it to expand and contract a wee bit. So what I've got is, if you look at this ring here that I've ready made, this ring is just slightly too thick, okay? But this is the width of the ring that he wants, so the next ring I make will be just slightly thinner than this ring, and then that will fit on this one. I can show you better if I put the two rings together there. You can see that they're almost exact. Whoops. I keep looking at the screen instead of where the camera's pointing. You can see the rings are almost exactly the same size, about 1 millimeter in it. So the next ring I make will be just very slightly smaller than this. So it'll fit in, and she'll be able to batter those up into position. So that's where we are now. This is the blank I've decided to use for the ring. It's very nice. It's got lovely markings on each side. It's very consistent thickness throughout. And as you can see, it doesn't fit in between. So there's where I'll be taking off about 1.5 millimeters, or 2 millimeters, but 2 millimeters on each side. So the next thing is mount this, drill the hole, taper it, and then I'll bring you back after that. Right, now we're at the stage now where the ring has been almost cut on the internal diameter. Now you know this needs to be a taper here, and the taper has to get smaller as it goes that way. Right, so what we've got now is, remember, there's a tail, so that's the back of the taper, and there's a front. So you put those together, you can see it just slides in ever so sweetly. But we've got to there now. As you can see, there's about 3 mil still left to go. So what I'll do now is I'll hand sand this to get that to be a perfect snug fit. That's the fit I want there, and as you can see, there are no gaps in around the ring or anything there. That'll be just lovely when it's done. There's a wee shadow there, but that's not a gap. But as you can see, it's perfect on the inside as well. And what I'll do then is, there's a wee, see, I haven't moved that ring there, so that's why you can see a wee gap there now. But this is going to be coming off, remember. So while I'm doing this, I have to remember that this taper has to be bigger here than it will be here. So it has to fit the ring. When this band gets to here, it has to fit. So it's going to be slightly bigger here anyway to get the taper. So when it gets to there, it will fit. Oh, it'll fit just like that there, you know. We don't want this to be too tight. We don't want to press fit this, because this ring has to be able to move. So it means that if I press fit that in, it's going to be lovely until it gets drier, and it'll just split. But with the standard humidity here, this is going to the south of Finland where humidity is going to be the same. So if I just press fit this nice and gently, see, it's just sliding in there ever so snugly. If I set that in like that, as snug as that, and leave it like that, and where it's just that nice snug fit, it means that whenever the jeweler, the silversmith, whenever she hammers the edges up to hold the wood in position, it'll mean the wood's kind of floating there, and it'll not go anywhere, but it will allow the wood room to move on the band itself. So that's why there's so much precision involved, you know. They'll have to get this bang on right. So we're nearly there, and the football starts in 20 minutes, so I'm going to do a bit more at this, and then I'll come back when we've got this bit finished. Okay, bye bye. Right, it's the next morning, and I allowed this to sit overnight so there's any stresses in it might be relieved. When it came out this morning, it has been dead on. Now, remember our taper's going this way, so if I put this ring in, there's the front of the taper there. If I put it in this way, right, into the back of it, it doesn't go in the whole way, right? It won't go in. But if I put it this way, it just slides in beautifully. So that's the taper done. And as you can see, there's no gaps or anything there now. Everything's fine. So that's the taper done. Has to come back out this way again. So the next thing the job to do is to take the corners off this in the bandsaw, because I don't want this to be coming round on the lathe with these corners, because that's going to cause I'm going to make a mandrel, right? Excuse me. I'm going to make a mandrel out of this. But mandrel is just something you hold things with on a lathe with. Any sort of thing that's used for holding a piece of wood, so or metal or anything. So I'm going to make a mandrel the same proper diameter for this. And I'll make the mandrel, and this will slide on, but I don't want these corners coming towards me, because that's how you get catches. If I get a catch, that'll spin this on the wood and it'll start braiding it, and I don't want to change the fit. So I'll take the corners off, and that'll be less risky. So the next job is make a mandrel. So get you later. The mandrel's made. There's the mandrel. I'm not going to show it all to you at the moment. That'll hold the ring. But how do you stop the ring spinning on the wood? Well, it's very simple actually. You cut across the mandrel, and then that will expand when I close the tailstock on it. So there's our mandrel, and there's our ring, and on it goes nice and tight. Now remember, that's the mandrel's tapered as well to suit the taper on the ring. Everything has to be fit everything else. So I'm just going to set this up now and let you see it ready to go. Okay, so there's our on center there, and we're on center there. Now, I want that just as snug as, I don't want that to catch. Now what I'll do is first, I will get the lathe running first to make sure that it runs. Now, what I'm doing here is, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to use a spur drive in this part here, because it means if I get a catch, I'll make a catch for you. If I get a catch when I'm doing the ring, nothing happens. I won't end up busting the ring, because that's only getting the grip very lightly there. Okay, so that's all I want. I'll just turn this off, and then I'll put my ring on. Right, so the ring goes on, and just ease it off a wee bit there, just nice and snug. I don't want to bust this either, so it has to be able to just slide on just enough that it's snug, but not so much that it spins, and enough that that'll spin as well, you know. So I think that's us there. I will play with this anyway to get it down, but as you can see, I took it over to the sander, and I sanded the corners off just to make it less risky, and that leaves burn marks on it. But I'm going to be taking this right down to a couple of mils, so that doesn't matter. But I'll cut these off now, okay? So that's where we are, and it's into the cutting of the ring now and the sizing of the side of it. So next time you see it, it'll probably be done. Bye bye. Right, folks, bit of a disaster. Look, the ring broke, exploded there just as it's getting down really thin. I've started again, so I'll not be doing any more videos until this is finished, okay? That's what I didn't need. Okay, let's get going again. See you later. Hi chums, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to show you a wee bit of the cutting of the ring. Now I've got the ring on the mandrel, and you see it's expanded here in the ring. That's just held there and no more. Very, very light. I don't want to expand this, because as this gets thinner, it's going to get weaker. So I want to keep it thin, but I've got it rounded off, and I'm just going to take some more off. You can see all I'm going to be doing here is, just give me 2 seconds, let's give a wee quick touch up here. All I'm going to do is just stroke this basically. This is a 1 1/4 inch chisel, but you can do very, very delicate work with it. See, all I'm doing there is, I'm just taking tiny little shavings. See, those are shavings. They're not sawdust. So I'm cutting the ring here. I'm not scraping it. I will continue like this until the ring's about 2 millimeters thick, 2.5 millimeters thick. But I have to do it like this because I'm scared of any weakness in here, in the joint. The joint looks pretty good between the two pieces of wood. The last one broke. The joint was good, but it broke on the side of the joint. The actual wood gave away, you know. So you can see lovely little shavings coming off. They call those angel hair when you're getting them like that. So I'll just basically keep doing this. And I'm just stroking, and the reason I'm going this direction is to keep pushing against the taper. If I go the other direction, it's going to push the ring off the taper. So by going this direction, I'm pushing towards this end, but very, very gently. Okay? Right, where we're at now is we've got this really thin now, but it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. About 3 mil, 2.5 mil, but it needs to be thinner than that because it's going on to the other band, and I don't want this guy to wear the ring and his fingers be like this, you know. So what we're doing now is we're starting with sandpaper and a little block of wood, and what that means is that I can put the sandpaper on the wood and hold it up, and it means I'm getting a perfectly level sanding each time, and I just keep touch, ease off, off very slowly. I don't want heating this. So I have to keep stopping and letting it cool down. Well, I don't let it heat up, basically, so it means to keep stopping between, just touch, stop, and it's like that for the next half an hour, I suppose, you know. Then I have to cut it to width, but you do all your sanding first, and then when you see what you've got, you can decide where you're going to cut it then. So that's where we are now. Sanding. The reason I'm doing this is because it's too dangerous to cut now. It's got so thin that if I were to get a tiny catch here or there, it'll just pull it apart. So it's very delicate, you know. But we'll see where we go from here. It's delicate in the sense that this wouldn't do it any good, you know. So there you go. Right, back later. Right, one of the scariest bits has been done. That ring has now been cut to size. You see, I need that ring to fit on that, so that the sides that can be beaten up to hold it in position, okay? So I had to cut the sides off it, and I used this tool here. This is a skew, but it's got an extremely sharp point on it, and I went in with the point here, okay, just here, and there's the slices I took off, like about less than 1 millimeter. That's about 1 millimeter, that's less than 1 millimeter, that one. And I did that on both sides until I got the size I needed, and we're absolutely bad. There's a wee walnut ring, you know. So that's what we're taking off there to get that size. So now we're down to size. So I'm about 2 millimeter thick there. I want to take it down a bit more. It's just a wee tiny bit too big. So I'll just sand it down the rest of the way, and then I polish it. So that's where we are now. Right, we're getting there. We're nearly done. This is the ring cut to size. It's been thinned to size because remember, that has to fit inside the diameter of that, because this is going to be hammered up to hold this in position. But it's very thin, and we're going to show you how thin it is. So just carefully pull that back. This is delicate work, guys. Right, so how thin is it? Well, up there's how thin it is, and we'll just measure that so you can all say you saw how thin. Well, just put it there. Right, hold on a minute. How do I do this and get the calipers in position? Right, so where's the vernier? See, this is the problem. Ah, there we are there, right. So put that in on this 0.85 of a millimeter. What do we say now? 0.76 of a millimeter. So we'll say 0.8 of a millimeter. So that's, I can't go any thinner than that. Now what I've done is I've put it on my own finger, right? I put it on my own finger, and it fits dead on. Now it's a wee bit thicker than my own wedding ring in the terms of diameter. The internal diameter is different. Mine's slightly bigger, but that's overall diameter is bigger because of the internal ring in this one. But as had it in my fingers for a few minutes there, and when you first put it, whoever I get, and so he puts it on, he's first going to think that's a bit thick, but he'll quickly get used to it, because when I put it in my wedding finger, It feels dead on. I can't notice any difference with it in my wedding finger there. So, and that's about the size it's going to be. That is the size it's going to be. Well, I've been wearing a wedding ring for about 36 years, so I'm used to it now. But when I put that on top, your fingers are very sensitive to change. I put that on top of my fingers there, and they're dead on. So that's basically what we have. But by the nature of the ring that the guy wants, it has to have a liner on the inside of it, because if it doesn't, it's not going to work. Simple as that. You know, it's going to snap, and you see how thin that is. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, the next thing is, we put this back in the lathe and we'll start polishing. Alright then, since I broke that last ring, I have about 4 hours in that there. So, it's a slow process, but we're getting there. But I'm deliberately going slow to make sure that I don't end up in another disaster. Okay then, bye. Right, that's the ring sanded and sealed and waxed, and what I did was I put the wax on with my finger very slowly and let the body heat melt the wax into the ring. So now I'm going to go and make a cup of tea and have a sit down and maybe a bite to eat and let that cure for an hour or so, and then I'll polish it off, buff it off. Then it won't be touched again until the silversmith gets it. I take it off the mandrel very carefully so I don't leave any marks on it, and I'll put it in the box I got the other ring in, and I'll go to the silversmith on Monday, and then the wax will be nicely cured on it then. So there you go. So I'll show you when it's finished. Hi chums, right, this is it done. There it is. You can see this lovely shine off it. I'm scared of touch. It's so delicate, I'm scared of damaging it. But you can see that you can glint off it there, you know. It's worked out nicely. And the grain changes as you go around because of the fact that I've laminated two different pieces together. The grain's going to change as it goes round, so it gives a bit of difference. It means that it's never going to be the same no matter what position you wear it in, you know. It's always going to look a bit different no matter where the ring's sitting, you know. So then that has to go onto this ring here now. And as you can see, I'm scared of touching this too much. I don't want to damage it. The wax is pretty well cured, but I don't want to damage it. But as you can see, that's going to fit on there then. And then it's a wee bit thinner, so the silversmith will knock the sides up to encapsulate that. And then there's a ring that I made first as a sample, and you can see the difference in the thickness of those there. This one here is about 0.7 of a millimeter wide, this one. So as I say, that's it done. That's my bit done. It's up to the silversmith now. But I'll tell you what, it was pretty nerve-wracking. It's one of the scariest jobs I've ever had to do. And I'm not just saying that because it was a sort of a custom piece. It was really nerve-wracking, and a lot of it was due not so much with the turning as the time factor. You know, this has to be in England before next Saturday. All right. I hope you enjoyed this wee series, guys. As you saw, I just stitched them all together as best I could in an edit program, and hopefully it's showing you a wee bit about how to make a custom ring. Okay then, all the best now. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.